in effect, God, I'm in an unequal battle because you're not like me. I need someone who is like me, a man who knows what life is like lived on earth. And you are different. You are altogether different. This is it in verse 32 of chapter 9. He's speaking of God. He is not a man like me, that I might answer him, that we might confront each other in court. If only there were someone to arbitrate between us, to lay his hand upon us both, someone to remove God's rod from me so that his terror would frighten me no more. Then I would speak up without fear of him. But as it now stands with me, I cannot. If only there were a daysman, if only there were a mediator, an arbitrator who could stand in the middle and put one hand reaching to God and one hand reaching to me, and draw God to me and take that rod off me. If only there were. This is a cry for Christ. If only there were a mediator. Chapter 10 and verse 3. Does it please you to oppress me, he's saying to God, to spurn the work of your hands? You've made me, while you smile on the schemes of the wicked. Why do you let them get away with it? And why has all this occurred in my life? Why me? Why not them? He is seeking still to defend himself. You see, Job was not naturally a patient man. And under pressure, patience broke down. He cries out to God, as we've seen, in impatience. Patience and humility, gentleness, are fruit of the Spirit, produced in our lives through trying experiences. We want the patience, we want the gentleness, but we don't want the way it's achieved, the trying experiences. But that's God's way. Look in the New Testament at James chapter 5 and verse 11. James chapter 5 verse 11. As you know, we consider blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. When we're hurting, we do at times lots of things that in the clear light of day, when we're better, we say, I'm sorry, God. I shouldn't have sworn at you like that. I'm sorry, God. I shouldn't have blasphemed. I'm sorry, God. When we're under great pressure. Look at chapter 6 and verses 1 to 3. Job replied, if only my anguish could be weighed, and all my misery be placed on the scales, it would surely outweigh the sand of the seas. No wonder my words have been impetuous. He's saying, if all of what's happened to me, all my anguish, if only it could be weighed, the sand on all the seashores wouldn't weigh as much. He's a man who's borne down under all this. His comforters did not speak of a God of mercy and grace, but only of a God of law. They brought in experience and tradition and legality, but not the truth. It's the truth that sets you free. Job feels he's just rotting away. Chapter 13 and verse 27 and 28. This is Job speaking. You fasten my feet in shackles. You keep close watch on all my paths by putting marks on the soles of my feet. So man wastes away like something rotten, like a garment eaten by moths. Here's Job, he's saying, my life is being eaten up. I'm like a grubby garment that the moths have been eating. He feels he's just rotting away. And here's a great trial in his life. He can't see any point in his suffering. Remember, at the beginning, we were let into the secret of what was going on behind the scenes. When you know why things are happening and God has a purpose in it, it becomes more bearable. You can endure it for Christ's sake. But when you can't see any point in the suffering at all, it becomes heavier than the sand on the seashore. And yet, under this immense pressure, still a flash of faith emerges from God's servant. Look at chapter 14 and verse 14 and 15. Under immense pressure, Job asks, if a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my hard service, I will wait for my renewal to come. You will call, and I will answer you. You will long for the creature your hands have made. What a flash of faith! When he's being jumped upon by circumstances, when it's as if he is being pounded into the ground again and again and again, a flash of faith comes from this man who at his heart of hearts fears God and shuns evil, and under immense pressure he cries out, if a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my hard service, I will wait for my renewal to come. You will call, his faith, and I will answer. You will long for the creature your hands have made.